Welcome to the series where I test out money-making methods from the OSRS Wiki. Feel free to leave suggestions on which moneymaker you'd like to see next. And also, if you didn't already know, I have a nice playlist that I've created that has all of the previous moneymakers that I've already tried, so go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. With that being said, let's get into the video. So for today's video, I thought we'd go ahead and try out some newer content, that being the Vyrewatch Sentinels. Now there isn't an entry on the wiki for this as a moneymaker, but it definitely should be up there since these are some pretty decent money. Now these were released a few months ago, back whenever the Darkmire update happened. And I think the important thing to note is that these do in fact drop the blood shard, which is actually worth a pretty penny these days. As you can see right there, it says 8 million, so if we happen to get one of those, that'll be some pretty nice money for an hour. But just keep in mind that it is a pretty rare drop, so don't expect it every hour. Still, it'll be interesting to see how much money we can make even if we don't get it, since they do drop a whole lot of alkables, some other different random items like bark, which I don't think I've ever received bark from any other monster before. Not that I can remember, not that I picked it up, but we definitely picked up everything in this 1 hour, even the vampire dust that they drop at the end. Now as for the gear setup, I am going with my best in slot melee. I have the Nade's Not face guard, the fire cape, the amulet of torture, Rod is Blessing 4. We have the blisterwood flail, which is needed to do damage to these monsters, so make sure you have that. I have full bandos along with the Avernic defender, ferocious gloves, the primordial boots, and the berserker ring imbued. Now as for the inventory, I do have the 3 pieces of the Vyrewatch outfit that you get from the quest Sins of the Father, and this will be used to access the bank there in Darkmire, because if you're not wearing this, then they won't let you bank and you will be aggroed by all of the NPCs around there. I also have a divine super strength potion and a divine super attack potion, as well as my max cape for teleports and the Draken's medallion to actually get to Darkmire, since it has a nice teleport option on the necklace. Also, I decided to bring my Explorer's Ring 4 just for some high alks, since these monsters do drop a whole lot of high alks. And as you can see there, I did use the Draken's medallion to teleport here to Darkmire, and all we have to do is run a little bit north and we're already here in the area of the Vyrewatch Sentinels. In this area north, you can see the bank. Remember, you have to be wearing the Vyrewatch outfit, and south of that we have an altar that we can pray at so that we have unlimited prayer, but we do take a little bit of damage every time that we use it. So right off the bat, I just want to say I was using Piety and Protect from melee, and I think I also flicked on Rapid Heal later on because we were taking damage from some of the divine potions that I was drinking, and of course the small amount of damage you take from using the altar. So if there was one thing that I changed, I would probably bring the regular version of the super attack and super strength. The divine damages you for 10 every time you take a sip, so since I was taking 2 sips every 5 minutes, I was taking 20 damage, so eventually I did have to heal myself. And the way I did this is I just used my max cape to teleport to my POH and use the Ornate Rejuvenation pool there. I only had to do that once, so it wasn't really a big deal, but still, if you plan on staying here long term, then it's probably not worth bringing the divine version of the potions. You can get away with just bringing the normal versions. Something else that you can bring, but it's not really necessary, is the rune pouch to store the runes that you get from these monsters. You can also bring a seed box, since they do drop some seeds, and you can also bring an herb sack and maybe even a gem bag to hold on to all of those items that you get. But it's not really necessary since there's a bank just a few blocks north, so you really don't need that stuff. For the most part, I tried to hold on to most of the noted items or stackable items just because I thought it would look cool for the video. You know, throughout the 1 hour you can see the stacks growing bigger. But again, if you're doing this for 1 hour, then you don't really have to hold on to it. You can bank everything. Really, the only time that I would bank is whenever I was filled up on the inventory because of the vampire dust that I picked up after every kill. Now, it's up to you whether you want to pick it up or not. It's worth, I think, like 800 coins right now, so it's really up to you if you want to go through the trouble of picking that up and having to bank every so often. If you don't want to do that, then you can just hold on to the stackable items and pretty much just farm for as long as you want, since most of it is stackables, and of course the alkables that you can high alk with, which is what I was using my Explorer's Ring 4 to do. Now you can actually kill these on a Slayer task if you unlock it from one of these Slayer Masters for 80 points. You can go ahead and try your luck out here to see if you can get lucky and get that nice little blood shard, which again, it is a pretty rare drop, being a 1 in 1500 drop rate, but once you land on it, that's some pretty good money. And if you don't have the combat requirements to do it, either the levels or the gear, you can always try thieving from these guys. I do believe there's a spot somewhere south where you can trap one of the Vyrewatch people in there and just pickpocket them until you get lucky and get that nice little blood shard. Now, these Vyrewatch Sentinels also have a chance of dropping the hard clue scroll, which is a 1 in 128, and we did happen to get lucky and receive one of those towards the end of the video. Now, I remember when these things were first released, you could put down a cannon to, I guess, speed up the kills, but that was quickly hotfixed by Jagex, and you can no longer use the cannon here, so yeah, don't bring that. Now, aside from the good money that you can make from these guys, it's also a pretty nice way to train some of your melee stats. During this, I was training my strength and hit points, of course, but you can also set it to defensive and train your defense if you wanted to. I'd say it's a pretty AFK way to train attack, especially if you maximize prayer bonus and you don't use piety. That way you don't have to use the altar that often. But if you do plan on paying attention the entire time, then feel free to just bring your max strength bonus and use piety the entire time. Again, the altar's right there and it gives you unlimited prayer. All it does is it takes a little bit of health from you, but not too much. And if you bring the regular potions instead of the divine versions, then you really don't have to worry about losing your health at all, since you can just have rapid heal on as well. While I was doing this 1 hour of Vyrewatch Sentinels, I noticed that I had some rune javelins in my inventory, and I remember that those were on the rare drop table, and I was like, there's no way that I've gotten that lucky or unlucky, whatever you want to call it, to have received that drop that many times. But no, the rune javelins are on a different drop table as well as the rare drop table, so if you see those, don't freak out. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this 1 hour. Very straightforward. You're not really having to do too much clicking, since they do aggro onto you if you're not wearing that outfit, and as you can see here, the price check is a little bit over 500k. We can now go ahead and head over to the Grand Exchange to sell off all of the loot that we got, and just like with all of my videos, I do recommend that you put them in there for at least market price or a little bit over, that way you can completely maximize your profit. Just let it sit there overnight and it should eventually sell. And this is the first time that I've seen these timers above all of my offers. I guess it lets you know how long it took to sell everything or buy a certain item, which is pretty cool. It'll be nice for these types of videos so I can give you a more accurate estimation of how long it took for items to sell. Which I guess doesn't really matter for me, since most of the time I just put it in there for a low price just to sell it off quickly. But yeah, again, if you do plan to do these moneymakers for a long period of time, then definitely leave them in there for a little bit longer, that way you can get some more money. And after selling off all of these pearl bolt tips, we now have our nice little cash stack, which is just under 500k. So obviously we lost a little bit because I sold it for cheaper, but it wasn't too big of a deal. We can now head over to the next screen to see how much total profit we made from this 1 hour, along with some of the XP that we got. So if we subtract the cost of supplies, which was just the super strength and super attack potions, we get 9,671 GP. Subtract that from the total amount of money that we made, which was 499,314 GP, we get a grand total profit of 489,643 GP. So again, not a bad moneymaker. We did make a pretty decent amount, as well as some nice XP as shown here. We managed to get 80,000 strength XP along with about 27,000 hit points XP. And of course, if you wanted to train defense, you could do that as well by changing the attack style. Here is also a look at the total loot that we got from the Vyrewatch Sentinels. We managed to kill a total of 134, and as you can see, it says that it's valued at around 502,000. So there's all the loot we got, along with the hard clue scroll there down at the bottom. I just want to say thanks for checking out the video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and possibly even a subscription. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next episode.